Welcome back. 25 minutes past the hour. It's now time to talk about gardening, sort of. We have beautiful tree branches here.
It's
Everything
still
smells
horticulture.
good.
That's right.
It smells delicious.
Well, many of you are going out and getting the tree and wondering what kind of a tree to get. And I want to point out that there are many, many kinds of firs now, more firs than pines. Pines aren't sold so much, but everybody says a pine tree. But these are different kinds of firs. Let me show you. This is a balsam fir. Sort of soft, but spiky needles. The concolor fir. This one is the one that smells like tangerines if you squeeze the needles, and it's sort of a rubbery sort of a look. And then there's the very, very popular Douglas. Everybody, most people get Douglas these days. We have several others here. This is the grand fir. This is probably the one I'm going to get. It's shiny. The needles are different on one side than the other. See, they're sort of bluish underneath. So there's a lot to look at. And the very popular Fraser fir, again, a very popular choice. One of the things you want to look at is, do you want firm needles or soft needles? You can get both, but there's a real difference. The old-fashioned blue spruce here, that's prickly, but it holds ornaments really great. There's lots of space for ornaments. So those are some of the things you look at, but most of all I want to mention that it's important that you go for freshness. Go to a local farm, or cut your own place, or go to a place that has cut their own in the last few weeks. You have a much better chance of keeping your Christmas tree fresh. And the same goes for the homemade decorations. Look at the beautiful things you can make out of evergreen. So, hey, let's appreciate our trees. One more thing to give thanks for, our trees.
I know, and there's nothing worse than when you hang your ornaments and they fall down, so it's important to know which
That's
kind of...
right. Well, you might want a Fraser fir then, or a concolor.
Right. Okay. I believe our first caller is Mike from Forestville. Good morning.
Good morning, Sally. How you doing?
Doing fine.
Good. Hey, Sally, are wood ashes good for the compost pile?
Wood ashes in the compost pile, well, honestly, it's too much of a good thing. If you can do some wood ashes in the compost pile, but wood ashes eventually raise your soil pH very, very high. So I would say spread them out in the field or very diffusely over your garden, but don't overdo it.
Okay, our next caller is Carol from Cheektowaga. Good morning, Carol. What's your question?
Good morning. I brought in an English lavender plant for the winter, and I was wondering the best way to maintain it.
Okay, a lavender... I know many people are enjoying having lavender or, say, rosemary in their houses over the winter, and the fragrance is wonderful. They'll be not really happy as a houseplant unless you can give them really good light. So I would put them in your best southern or southeast window, and I would get supplemental light, some kind of a grow light over them, and then also add humidity. Put them near a dish of water, use a humidifier, something to increase humidity for them.
Good advice. All right, and next we have Lynn from Kenmore. Good morning, Lynn.
Good morning.
What's your question?
I have several mums that I have in pots. Is it possible to store them in a garage or in a basement over the winter?
Yes, bulbs in pots. If you have bulbs in pots, and that'll be really nice to force them and bring them in prematurely in the spring, put them in a garage or somewhere where they won't freeze deeply. They can be 35 is fine, 45, it doesn't matter. But then you will start to bring them in February, March, whenever you want to start the forcing process. But that's a good way to keep the bulbs that you didn't get to plant because the snow came on too suddenly for you.
Okay, we have time for one last caller. Tina from Cheektowaga. Good morning, Tina.
Yes, my question is in regards to hydrangeas. I have hydrangeas that do not produce flowers. Is there something we can do to change that?
Okay, if you have hydrangeas and you want to make the flower more blue, you need to acidify the soil if it's that kind of hydrangea. So you buy a sulfur-based product. There's many on the market. Next spring, now if we get a great thaw, you could still put some on the ground and get the process started. But yes, you just need to acidify. So hey folks, time to get your Christmas trees, time to start the holiday decorating. I'm teaching classes on wreath making. I'm sure there's other classes in the area on how to decorate for the holidays, so have a good time and use the products of nature.
Thank you, Sally, as always. Our expert, Sally Cunningham. Well, coming up